Sure. So I'm Ryan Kurtz. I direct the entomology research program with Cotton Incorporated. I've been with the company about 6 years now. Before working with Cotton Incorporated, I was with Syngenta Biotechnology. So I've been in various aspects of agricultural production, most recently with Cotton Incorporated. So we have our sole mission is to increase the demand for and profitability of cotton production. And we do that through research and promotion. So we are a nonprofit that is funded solely by U.S. cotton growers and better. It's a pretty small company. I think globally we have about 140 employees, maybe 145. The bulk of them are based in the U.S., but we have international offices that are more related to supply chain marketing. Sure, Cotton Incorporated spans the whole range from cotton production through to consumer marketing. So within the company, we've got divisions that are responsible for dealing with agricultural research. We have textile research representatives that deal with everything from spinning to weaving through to dyeing and finishing. And then we also have directors who work through the supply chain and global supply chain marketing, dealing directly with brands and retailers. And then we also have a consumer marketing division that does a lot of the advertisements that you may have seen, touch the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives. So we really touch every aspect of cotton, from what they like to say is from dirt to shirt. So everything from growing it to the finished product, and then consumer marketing to consumers. Yes, we work with most everyone through the supply chain. We don't deal a lot with the warehouses. Other than that, we have a lot of research involved in improving ginning practices and every phase of agricultural research, and then through brands, retailers, and consumers. Well, it's hard to pick a single definition for sustainability. What we're trying to do is improve responsible production practices across the board. For something to be sustainable, it's got to be both economically profitable and environmentally responsible. So that's kind of how we wrap it into a larger context of is it sustainable from an economic perspective, and then are we improving our impacts and reducing our impacts on the environment. So we fund a lot of research. That's most of a lot of what we do in both agricultural research and textile research is all around improving practices. So and we're looking at ways to how we measure this. So funding research is the simple answer to your question. So we know that there are key performance indicators, areas where we want to improve on cotton's environmental impact. We're focusing our research efforts in those areas. And we're partnering with a group called Field to Market. It is a consortium of nonprofit research groups, brands, retailers, NGOs. So it's everyone from National Corn Growers Association to the World Wildlife Fund are cooperating in this effort called Field to Market. It comes out with the National Indicators Report every 5 years. And so we're not only funding research into improving practices, we're participating with an organization to document how we're improving practices in the field and how we've reduced cotton's environmental impact over time. Okay. So cotton has gotten, if you Google about cotton, you'll find all sorts of negative things. What a lot of the information that's on the internet is really outdated. So as the Field to Market project that I mentioned, you can look back in time and see where cotton was in terms of its environmental impact 30 years ago. And a lot of what's on the internet is drawing on where we were 30 years ago. It's not discussing where we are now. So that what we're trying to do is build awareness to the current practices that growers are using, highlighting how they're being more responsible with their inputs and reducing their overall environmental impact, and trying to make it as transparent as possible working through this third party. So if you were to Google Field to Market's National Indicators Report, you can see where we were to where we are now. Cotton Incorporated, along with our counterpart in Australia, has also recently done a life cycle analysis on cotton production. So we're trying to put the most current information out there on cotton and how it relates to the environment and cotton's impact. So also you can Google cotton's life cycle assessment, and you'll be able to find that document that was recently released. Great question. I've always wondered myself. I grew up in Mississippi, surrounded by cotton fields. For us, it was just a natural choice, and I've always been a little confused why synthetic products that are, most of them petroleum based, don't have the same negative stigma as cotton. And I don't have a good rational answer for why they do, but I think cotton's got a great story in that it's a naturally derived product. It's very biodegradable. It's out there just applying pesticides where they're not needed. They're not putting fertilizer out where it's not needed. There was a time when we weren't as sophisticated in how we were using water and pesticides and fertilizers, but we're really investing a lot in research in precision agriculture and how to learn to precisely use the exact amount of resources that are needed for that specific field, and even sometimes for a specific part of the field. So if you're looking at growing cotton on a given acre of land, you've got different soil types across that land, and it's got different yield potential in each part. And farmers are learning how to analyze the field down to these little small sections to really reduce the amount of products they're having to use to produce fiber. So it's, as much as being environmentally responsible, it's being financially responsible. And it's the simplest way I can put it is, people don't like wasting money. Farmers.
So in terms of cotton,
I think the main thing is, in terms of sustainability, that cotton growers are using very sustainable practices to be growing. It's a natural fiber. It's not petroleum based. There's no plastic, microplastics involved. So one thing we'd really like students to take away is that cotton can produce a very durable product that lasts a very long time. It's very comfortable, and it's also biodegradable. I think it's, in creating a sustainable cotton product in particular, I think durability is something to really keep in mind. The longer the product lasts, you're reducing its overall environmental impact, because it's not fast fashion. It's not something you're just throwing away after one or two uses. You're creating a durable good. Cotton, an interesting thing about cotton is that it actually sequesters carbon out of the air. So you're removing CO2 from the environment, sequestering it in an environment that you can make that'll last a long time, that's very comfortable and very sustainable.
Okay.
Research related to the synthetic fibers is actually quite new, and it's not surprising that consumers aren't aware of it. There have been a lot of recent media reports that are bringing more attention to the issue, and I think as the actual industry, brands and retailers are taking this very seriously and trying to understand what impact are these synthetic fibers actually having on the environment due to their lack of biodegradability and the shedding of microplastics and things like that. But the overall, to me, again, back to, I'm just generally confused. I've worn cotton my whole life. Just the comfort and durability of it, and it's a lack of odor retention, just everything about it, to me, is just so much more comfortable and biodegradable. It's a natural product. It just seems like a no-brainer that it would be